When you're building a team, whether it's, you're, like you said, younger people or people that are in, different generations, the number one thing I look for is, do they care? Because Jason, you can teach a lot of people a lot of things in this business, right? I mean, some of it's complicated, some of it's pretty simple, but you cannot teach someone to care. When the times are tough and the people that you count on or that you believe that you can count on are still there, those are the people that genuinely care. And there's a Formula One racer made a famous quote one time, and he said, there are two times in a man's life when he dies. Once when he retires, and the other when he actually dies. And, I thought about that, and I thought, I need a purpose. You walked out of business meetings and you wanted the business and you got the business, and then you got in the car and you were like, how in the hell are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Tony Carter, Vice President of Business Development for Principal Distribution, and you're watching Last2First Podcast with Jason Burns.
In the last mile world, we value technology that looks good but doesn't get the job done. That's why different is different. Built by courier pros with over 35 years of real-world operational experience. Sorting freight, dispatching drivers, missed scans, they built the technology platform that they always needed. You get lightning-fast dispatching and routing, a driver app that eliminates confusion and adds visibility. Back office automation and tools from on-demand to air freight, all in one place. Need proof? Their courier business grew 300% in just 3 weeks without any new hires and managing 150 drivers. Ready for tech that gets it? Visit deliverdifferent.com and book your demo today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Last2First family. We are here with another special guest on our next episode of the Last2First Podcast, where we bring you the latest and greatest, the innovators who are moving this industry from last to first in today's and tomorrow's supply chain. Joining me today is a special guest, someone I've known for a few years now. He lives not too far from me here in Austin. I'm joined with Tony Carter, who is the VP of Business Development for Principal Distribution and the EVP of Axion Professional Solutions. Get that right?
Yeah.
Got that right? All right, got it right. Tony, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Jason. Good to be here, man.
Good to be here with you, too. We had lunch a few months back here in Austin. And
saw you at the ECA.
It's at the ECA conference. Shout out to the ECA. And I was like, man, I got to get you on this podcast because you have so many good stories. You have so many relevant experiences that I think the audience would just love to have and to share with you on.
Glad to share.
Yeah. So let's start off with just what your role is today at Principal and Axion. And let's kind of get that part of the conversation going because I want to dig into your story because it's fascinating to me.
Okay.
So Principal Distribution is based in
Austin. Got locations in Dallas, Austin, Houston. Got also locations in Arizona. Came to Principal based on my experience level in the past in the courier industry and the automotive sector specifically in that vertical. And what I liked about Principal was a couple of things. One is true character, high level of integrity, say what you do what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple.
Simple, but not many people.
Not always easily executed. Right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. So, relocated the family, be closer to our family. Most of our kids now are in Central Texas area.
Okay.
So wanted to be closer to them. So that was a big part of, where you select and where you want to go. And look, I've been doing this a long time. Probably longer than a lot of people would care to know. But the reality is, you want to work with good people.
Yeah.
You got something to offer. You still feel like it could help people. I did try to retire for about 6 months during COVID.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
No, I mean, physically, I was having a great time, was, doing all the things you wanted to do. But mentally, I always say a man's got to have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a Formula One racer made a famous quote one time, and he said, there are two times in a man's life when he dies. Once when he retires, and the other when he actually dies. And, I thought about that and I thought, I need a purpose. I need something to keep my mind going. I still feel young. I still feel good. And, if I can help somebody, if I can provide a solution for somebody based on what I know or what I can find out, that's a great feeling for me.
Yeah. I want to come back to that, like this whole work-life balance, retirement. My dad's very similar to you. He's like, I'm going to die in this office. But in today's world, you see, you see a little bit different kind of mindset thing. I think more people are thinking about I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing or just the generations have changed, but about balance. And I don't want to work my whole life. I don't want to kind of die in the office type of thing. So I'm curious about when you're managing younger folks. We're jumping way ahead now, but when you're managing younger teams, do you find that same kind of dedication and to work ethic, et cetera, et cetera?
No,
No.
not at all. And I think the biggest key for me when you're building a team, whether it's, you're like you said, younger people or people that are in, different generations, the number one thing I look for is, do they care?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jason, you can teach a lot of people a lot of things in this business, right? I mean, some of it's complicated, some of it's pretty simple,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot teach someone to care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the differentiating factor to me in building a great team.
Yeah.
We did that, previously, and we grew it on a national scale, but it was all about people and the leadership, the processes. Those things can be written, they can be documented, they can be followed. But the thing that gives you an edge in this business and in any business from what I've seen, and even in life itself, is, do people genuinely care about what they're doing?
Yeah. We've all heard the saying before, trust but verify. But in the last mile, when you're working with agents and master contractors, verification is manual, complex, and very rarely achieved. Enter GigSafe. GigSafe solved the problem that matters to you most. They've built a new network compliance tool that ties in master contractors, agents, and carriers so they can connect, validate, and authenticate their delivery and driver networks. With automated onboarding, live compliance tracking, and insurance verification, all happening in real time. No spreadsheets, no follow-ups, no more hoping that my partners are doing it right. Just one connected platform where visibility and control are at every layer of your operation. Turn your compliance into your competitive advantage. Visit gigsafe.com today.
Yeah. Are they checked out?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can have a great employee who does exactly what you want them to do. They do great work, 8 hours a day, right?
Yep.
And you have someone sitting next to them, does the same thing, but gets involved in the business a little bit more, wants to know, a little deeper, and kind of goes to that next level of, hey, maybe this process could help us be more efficient, or maybe this could help save us some money. Those are the people that are invested, and those are the people that care. Those are the people that I want on my team.
I love that so much. I talk about sports a lot on this podcast. You're a former athlete,
right?
Baseball player. We're going to get into that in a second too. But when you think about sports, a quick story, we're going to storytell a little bit on this episode. I can feel it coming already. You talk about coaches have a way of getting their players to buy in, to care, right? The care. Quick story, I was junior high school. We're playing the former defending national champion high school football team in I think it's the third round of playoffs at their place, and we're down. And it was like I think we just scored. We had to go for two to kind of win the game or go up. Coach on the sideline, out playing quarterback, calls a handoff, like an ISO play, right, to our star running back. Everyone breaks the sideline, goes on the field. He grabs me on the way out. He says, "Don't tell anyone. You keep the ball and you score it." He said some other words in between that I won't say on camera right now.
A little motivation.
But running on the field, and no one knew that I was going to keep the ball. And all I could think about is, I got to get in this end zone before my coach, because I cared. And that's the connection. I get goosebumps thinking about this moment.
Too, yeah.
But it's that care factor that you cannot teach, and you can only really build it through trust, through teamwork, through sacrifice. So I appreciate that so much. It's intentional, very much so. Has to be. All right, we got way ahead.
That's okay.
Let's go back. Principal. So I want the audience to understand what you guys do, how you do it, and where you do it at.
Okay. Principal Distribution, we talked about, based out of Austin, Texas. Yep. Coverage areas for us right now, delivery-wise, pretty much all of Texas on what we call local dedicated delivery drivers through the automotive industry, auto parts distributors, wholesalers, could be automotive dealerships. And then we also have a similar operation in Phoenix, very much, on a smaller scale, but we've got a good footprint there through an acquisition that was done years ago. And the other thing that's kind of the exciting part about Principal is their strategic partnerships. that they've created with other companies. Some are common ownership, but the one factor that you have with all of the companies is they have the same type of leadership structure, some of the same leaders. So the vision of driving these companies to be the best you can be is the element of common leadership and common ownership. The one thing I think that's exciting right now for Principal Distribution is a startup that they did called Maxim Direct. And
I remember that.
It's based out of Austin. It's a same day, next day delivery model, primarily focused on next day, automotive industry specific. Parts are picked up or delivered to our facility by 6 p.m. on any given night, Monday through Friday. They're delivered the next day, typically before 10 a.m. Covers 475 cities,
Wow.
In Texas overnight. Not overnight, but next day. So the great thing about that is, I go into a client recently and he's calling me based on a flyer that I've left behind and talking with him, and he's got a problem in his Lubbock facility. So real-time example, he tells us, hey, here's what I got. Here's what I need. And I said, okay. And he says, let me go get you the invoice for what I'm paying. And I said, no, I don't want to see the invoice for what you're paying because you're not getting what you want or what you need for what you're paying. Let me give you a solution that you want with the price that it's going to take to get it done. And then you make the decision.
Customer focused solution.
They gave us a try. Their parts are getting there from Austin to Lubbock every day by 8:30 a.m.
Damn.
They were not getting them for 2 or 3 days from the competitive provider.
Yeah.
Using the same service.
Yeah.
People, leadership, execution, care.
Phenomenal. From a operational standpoint, so just so I'm clear, you said the parts are coming into your facilities. Are you guys bringing them in, or the shipper is
Could be both.
Could be both.
So
you can line haul them in.
Well, we've got what we call sweeps. So we'll go out to these facilities and we'll do a sweep and pick up their parts for next day delivery, and you clear between 3 and probably 5 p.m. Get them into our facility by 6. Do the sort, segregation. Get them in the routed lanes where they need to go. And so next day delivery, like I said, typically we try to promise 10. Don't want to overpromise. I've got a big phrase in this industry that I've learned a long time ago, and that is underpromise, overdeliver. Don't set yourself up for failure. Make sure you know what you can do and say and tell people what you can do.
Yeah. And you're delivering mostly to like body shops, or
could be body shops, could be mechanical shops, could be other dealerships that are buying parts from other dealers throughout Texas.
Yeah. Why automotive? What about the automotive sector is why you've kind of invested? Principal hasn't kind of invested so heavily into this particular sector.
There's so much of it. There's so much opportunity in the automotive industry. And granted, it's not the margins that you're going to get on the pharmaceutical side or the med side or anything like that. It's consistent. It's, I won't say recession proof, because I don't know if there's any businesses that are really recession proof. I mean, we're all feeling it, in times of a recession or, times that we're feeling through today, but it's kind of when you find a niche and you want to say, hey, we're really good at that and let's stick to that. So I've been in other companies where, the solution or the slogan was, we're a one-stop shop. We do everything. And
jack of all trades, kings of none.
Exactly. And so, even in other companies I've been in, I've tried to say, hey, look, we do this really good. We should put more energy and focus on this. Look, I understand the need for diversity. To me, that goes from a customer standpoint as well as a vertical, right? It's not just, the industry. But so I think that the opportunity that you have in this business is endless. There's so many different things you can do. Look, we just picked up, Maxim Select is a company that was a spinoff of OPS Overnight Delivery. And I know a lot of people know and have heard of OPS, but nobody really knows what OPS did, right?
Yeah.
So they basically created a niche for themselves, and they delivered crash parts to collision centers overnight. It's a big business. They wanted to get out of that business because they're a software company. So we acquired that business from them, and some of the people, they've got some great people that care. They care about the business. They care about the client. You know, they want to be successful.
So describe for the audience and you're kind of doing it, but I want to maybe do it a little more succinctly, the different types of sub verticals in automotive. So I have a little bit of experience doing kind of what they call the man in a van, right? Dedicated routes, pick up from a distribution center. You got a guy or lady doing, kind of sweeps, maybe an AM sweep and a PM sweep.
Doing a route.
That's kind of my limit of experience with it. I know there's folks that do tire distribution. They got the aftermarket auto parts. There's maybe the crash test, what you're saying. Just maybe describe that too. And while you're doing it, the reason that Tony said that it's close to recession proof, and give me your thoughts on this. When the economy is down, people are maintaining their cars more, right? So they're not buying new cars, so they gotta service them. So you're going to the shop more. You're keeping your car longer.
Right.
When the economy's up, you're either buying new cars, or if you have the resource, you may be buying some kind of exotic cars. And so from a delivery standpoint, you kind of have almost the best of both worlds, which is why this is an attractive industry for final mile.
Right.
But go back to, and I'll ask you two questions there. The sub verticals, kind of you've had a lot of experience in automotive.
Right.
What's the different ways you can approach this?
I think the original way was to go to the wholesale automotive dealerships, basically, don't want to give out too many names here, but, that are big.
No one's watching. Don't worry.
Okay. So Henna Chevrolet, a huge automotive wholesale distributor, doing 4.6 million a month in wholesale automotive parts. Got a great system, great piece of business. They're always looking to grow, right? They're always looking to grow. We want to grow, we want to cut costs. We want to do those things. But initially you go into those dealerships because they have so many options. They've got new parts, they've got aftermarket parts, and they're going to hit all of the what I call jobbers, the mechanic shops and things like that. So that's one way to start going after it. Then you can go after your aftermarket. There's retail markets you can go after. There's, wholesale distributors that are national companies that you can go after and provide the service for. And right now I'm just talking on that dedicated piece that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of picked up from A, and then you made your route, and you came back 2 or 3 times a day, depending on how many you do.
Yep.
Few people know that when you go to an auto mechanic or repair shop, and you go in there with your car to be fixed, and they come out and tell you it's going to be an hour and a half, and you say, okay, I'm going to wait. Mm-hmm. And 45 minutes of that hour and a half is they're waiting for the part to get there. And that's what's driving these wholesale and automotive people. I've got to get parts to my client every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And those are the loops that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's key, because look, if you got a car on a lift and you got a mom in your waiting room with a crying baby, an hour and a half is a long time.
That's brutal.
It's a long time. So there's the motivation, get the part, get it on, get them out. And plus every, rack that's in that facility, time is money, so get them up, get them down. And that's just like turning tables in a restaurant. You don't want the people that are going to linger and talk and drink water for 2 hours, like we did. Right.
Yeah, we had a good time.
But, and then the next sector you have is, the wholesale, the specialty tires, like the TireHubs and people like that, that you're looking at, and I was pretty heavily involved in the joint venture between Goodyear and Bridgestone with TireHub when it first started. Had secret names, code names, project names, things of that nature, but I'd got some information that this is what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And so I went to them and did a map of all the Goodyear stores nationally, all the Bridgestone stores nationally, which were TWW at the time, and went to TireHub and did an overlay of all the facilities that we could service, because they wanted to turn these facilities on in 2 weeks on a 4th of July weekend. And I was like, you're not going to be able to do it without us.
Yeah.
So I did the overlay, flew to Atlanta, sat down with the execs, did the overlay. They said, can you do it? And I said, yeah, I believe we can, because I've got the right people.
Yeah.
And they care. And, the pricing was right. We made sure the pricing was fair for us if we're going to do it, something like this on a national scale in a very short period of time. But the end game, we knew they were going to use employee drivers. But you have to be opportunistic.
Mm-hmm. When was this?
This was probably 2015, 16.
Okay.
And we went from generating with TWW at the time before the joint venture.
Story time with drop-off. The lab test that just couldn't wait. A hospital system needed a delivery fast. The patient was prepped, the doctors were waiting, and time was just not on their side. Enter drop-off. Drop-off showed up with the certified driver, temperature-controlled equipment, and live updates along the way. That wasn't just moving a package, it was saving a life. And that's the type of reliability that drop-off brings in 35-plus markets across the U.S. Powered by smart technology, but always with people and drivers who care. Turn this story into your reality. Visit dropoff.com today.
We're generating about $300,000 a month worth of revenue to $1.6 million with TireHub in 90 days.
Wow. How did you do that? How did you pull it off?
I
mean, you had a network already kind of there, but
yeah,
did you
only put ourselves out there for the places that I knew we could cover, right? I mean,
Okay.
I didn't put us out there stretching thin, because it was a 2-week turnaround.
Sure.
And it was still difficult. I tell you, the planning, number one, having a plan. I'm always about a plan. We'd have meetings in different companies I'd been at, and, they'd say, well, that's the plan. And I'd say, well, what's a contingency plan? And this goes back even to my time at Goodyear, and they'd say, well, we'll worry about that, or we'll cross that bridge when we need to. And I said, that bridge is right outside this door. I said, you never know what's going to happen. So number one, have a solid plan. And we did. Great people in the locations that we had, people that care. It was a team that I'd helped build and work through. And we had expansive growth during that time period. And it was a lot of fun. We were having fun doing it. It was a challenge to us, and that, you're talking about making your hair stand up from sports and stuff like that. I mean, there's times when you take on a challenge, and you wonder, how am I going to get this done?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it as an entrepreneur. I mean, working with your dad and stuff like that. There are times when you walked out of business meetings and you wanted the business and you got the business, and then you got in the car and you were like, how are we going to do this?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I was leaving that part out,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be talking to myself in the car sometimes in the warehousing business, walking out of a client going, how in the hell are we going to do this?
Yeah.
But you figure out a way. That's the entrepreneur part. That's the caring part. That's, you love a challenge.
Yeah. That's the part they can't teach you in the classroom.
No. And yeah, we'll get into, I wasn't a great student. During my times in college, I did become one, but I did not start out as one. But that mindset of seizing an opportunity like that with TireHub, and looking around and looking for key indicators, and I still do that today. I love it. I'm a learner. I guess the thing says I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
I never stop. Look, I'm using AI today. Look, I'm 62.
Yeah.
I use AI every day. Taking courses now to figure out what's the best AI program to use for different things that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Everybody talks ChatGPT, but man, that is just scratching the surface of what AI can do.
Yeah.
And
it's one of, I was telling one of the previous guests on the podcast episode that I have my kids in an AI camp this summer.
That's
to
awesome.
learn. I listen to AI podcasts. I have them listen to it. I have some apps and tools that I'm playing with to build, because you got to get in there. You
Right.
got to embrace
You got
it.
to put your hands on the keys to learn it.
You got to. I want to go back a little bit. We've talked a little about your current experience, but let's go back to your origin story.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get into this industry?
I guess, I'll just start from the time when I, got into the courier side of the business. I'd been very successful as an entrepreneur, was partners in a 1 million square foot DC after leaving Goodyear, and got bored. We're doing warehousing, we're doing brokerage, freight, drayage, all of that. And the business was booming. But we were kind of stuck. I mean,
What was the business then? Was it,
warehousing business.
what was it called?
American Warehouses Limited out of Houston, Texas. Just under 1 million square foot DC on 57.5 acres, right in the middle of downtown. I mean, just
That's a good spot to
outside.
be in.
It's big. It was a great learning experience for me. I learned a lot. Learned a lot from the board of directors at that time.
Mhm.
Very skilled guys. Some of them were the original founders of Sealed Air Corporation, so that takes you back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of learning in terms of logistics all through the supply chain from Goodyear through American Warehouses, and then got into the courier business, and it was in June of 2008. And, the business that I was working with was Diligent, and they were 98% of their revenue was automotive. And I don't know if you remember 2008, the automotive crash happened. The big three are getting bailed out.
Yep.
And we're pulling up to facilities with our drivers, and the gates are locked and they're chained and all the lights are off. And I mean, it was literally overnight.
Jeez.
So then you go back and you reformulate. How can we continue to be successful and make money with our primary industry? Really, our only industry that we serve is on the teetering of bankruptcy. Made me rethink my decision because I was living pretty good at America. But, I was bored, and I told a friend of mine the same thing. I sat around one day, I was looking at him after lunch, and I just said, "Hey, look," and I said, "something's wrong with me."
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, he's like, "The business is doing better than ever. Your family's great. Your spiritual life's better than ever." And he said, "What could possibly be wrong with you?" And I was bored. I mean, I looked around the office and I was like, "Can I do this 10, 15, 20 more years?" And the answer was easy.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Didn't see it.
It talks about that, you got to keep your mind moving. You got to keep moving. And for me, that's always been the motivation besides the money, I mean,
You're a former athlete, so
I'm competitive, bro.
you're a competitor. You want the next challenge. Like, because when you, let's go there now. Because
If we're playing ping pong, I'm going to do everything I can to beat you.
as you should, and you better believe I'm coming right back at you. But that's what you want.
Right.
I was telling I coach my kids' flag football team, and they're actually nationally ranked. They're really
Wow.
good team. They just made it to the Junior Olympics, first ever flag football tournament at the Junior Olympics in Houston.
How cool.
In a month from now. So we're getting ready for that. Both my daughters, I have 11-year-old boy-girl twins. My daughter's team made it, all-girls team, and my
Okay.
son's team made it.
Humble ISD, track and field.
Yep, they're doing track. They're doing track.
That's where they're having that's the stadium that they conduct.
Yeah. Well, the football's going to be in Rice Stadium.
Okay.
The track, which they're in the regional round for qualifying for track next week, will be in that stadium.
Yeah.
So
Turner Stadium.
Turner Stadium. There
Yeah.
you go. But they recently lost a game to an all-girl, my daughter's team, to an all-girls team in Mexico. Really good team. Who's coached? They're coached by the Mexico women's national coach is coaching this girls team because her daughter plays on it.
Okay.
And her daughter's played with us a couple times too. They're really good team. But we lost them in the championship. And we're riding home. My daughter, she's pissed off. She's like me. She's a competitor. She hates to lose. And I was telling her, like, it's only a loss if you don't learn the lesson, right? And if you're a competitor, you want to play in games like this. Like, you want to be playing the team that's going to push you to the edge, because that's how you get better. If you run from that, like, you'll be run from everything your whole life.
Yes.
And so, to your point, as a former athlete, I think you like running to a challenge. It sounds like it.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the team sport of it. I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
I probably hate losing more than I like winning. Or enjoy winning. And that's, some people say, well, that's kind of twisted. But look, that's
your makeup.
That's just who I am, and for whatever reason of what my experiences were in the past, how I was brought up or something like that. But look, we kind of talked about this earlier, and, being a student athlete, and I probably the first 2.5 years, I was just an athlete. I wasn't much of a student. I was not a good student. I just didn't want to be in the classroom, but on the baseball field, you're not going to outwork me.
Yeah.
And so, got injured my junior year prior to the draft, kind of changed my course of what I thought my outcome was going to be. We all have a plan.
Yep.
God has a different plan. Sometimes they align. Most times they don't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. And, took a 92-mile-an-hour fastball in the left eye on an 0-2 pitch, and it was a blessing. Not at the time, but, really I look back on it now, one of the biggest blessings of my life was that was a life-changing moment for me.
Wow.
And that moment was stop playing around, get serious about life, and get on with what I want you to do, not what you want to do. Got serious.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, what happened next? I know a little bit of the story.
Yeah, so, came back, got to the doctors that were treating Dickie Thon at the time and kind of the same injury, and got serious about school. For the first time, I had to get a student loan, and now I'm paying for school, and you have a lot different mentality, when you do that. I was all about going to class, doing well. Now it was, okay, school is my competition, right? And I wanted to do well. And I had a professor when I, transferred into University of Houston at Clear Lake, Dr. Lou White, great guy, athlete. I kind of reached out to him and said, hey, I'm struggling, and he said, long story short, meet me in my office. We sat down. He kind of wrote out here's what I expect from you. And if you want my help, this is what you're going to have to do to get it. But I'll help you. And we ended up becoming friends. He mentored me for the next 2 years. We'd run 6, 7, 8 miles, 5:30 in the morning. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was. That's not for me. But I wanted to be around the guy, and just his leadership and his wisdom that he was sharing with me and his way to motivate me was exactly what I needed at the time. I'm forever thankful for that.
Yeah. So you a little bit of that background on baseball. You got a scholarship to play at Wichita State.
Correct.
Right. And you guys had a hell of a run. You guys made it to the World Series. And what year was it?
1982. My freshman year, we were 73-14. That's before they put a limit on how many games you could play in college.
God damn, 73-14. That's a lot of games. That's like baseball. It's like a MLB is 180 something, right?
So 162. So we played a lot. We didn't have lights. All your classes had to be over by 11:30. Well, that was no problem for me. I wasn't going anyway. It gave me time to get up and eat lunch and get my uniform on. I know we're laughing, but you just don't want your kids to do the same thing. And fortunately, they haven't.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. We had a great time. We had a great team. We had great chemistry. Finished, runner up in the 1982 College World Series to the University of Miami Hurricanes. My claim to fame on that one is it's the only time this kid from Texas ever got beat by a hurricane is in Omaha, Nebraska.
Say that one more time.
Being from Louisiana,
I can appreciate that.
You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you'll be fighting them as long as you're here.
If you're here, you fight them.
Yeah. So, great experience for me. Next 2 years, went pretty well, but it was still, more of the same ball, not much school. But
is that when the situation with when you got hit in the eye?
Yeah.
After that? And
that was my junior year.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, a blessing, really in disguise, not recognizable at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, fortunately for me, I embraced it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fight. It was like, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard enough to hit one, but when you're seeing four of them, and I'm talking about baseballs, it becomes a little bit difficult, but I mean, played at high level, Vanderbilt. I know you had to go to class at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
You couldn't do what I was doing at Wichita State.
Not quite, Brad.
And
But
you were closer to home too than I was.
Yeah. I definitely had to go to class.
Yeah.
We actually, that was ironic enough, they would allow you to miss practice for class, which is unheard of. I don't think they do it anymore. They practice in the mornings now, but we were practicing, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and there was some labs.
Right.
I remember kids would take certain times of the year, and they would let you go. Leave practice.
No, that wasn't happening.
That was
where
not.
I was at.
Yeah.
So nationally ranked, number one, probably for 3 years during that time period when I was there. Very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
It was before what I call the big conference, the Big Five conferences started coming around.
Yeah.
So if you were good, you were good. Now we had to travel to play people.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to play Arizona State, you're going to Arizona State. You want to play Cal State Fullerton, you're going to Cal State Fullerton. You want to play UT, you're going to UT. Nobody's coming to Wichita, Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
for a variety of reasons. But exciting time for me. But most recently, I think you look at the camaraderie with teams, really good teams, and they just
Mm-hmm.
have a real sense of camaraderie. And that year I was a freshman on that 82 team. We had some great leadership. We had some young guys. But
Let me ask you a question. What you hear people all the time talk about, we love to hire former athletes. Being a former athlete yourself, playing at a very high level, finished number 2 in the country, 82. What have you learned from sports, your career that you've taken, and all these stops along your career path to even where you are now today? What are some of these lessons that or stories or kind of scars that help you in your business career?
You got to be committed. Number one, if you've got a good team, whether it's in athletics, sports, business, your team has to be committed. You can't have one person that's in a key leadership role not be committed.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has to be committed to the cause.
Mm-hmm. Is there a difference between competence and commitment to you?
Absolutely. But if you're not committed, I'm not going to get a chance to see how competent you are. Because you can be off the charts in terms of intelligence, but if you distract or take away from what the team is and what the goal is of the team, then you're going to have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some super high performers, in this business, that were just jerks. And despite what they could bring on the top line, they really hurt the company on the bottom line and from a morale perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as you were talking earlier about care. To me, that's, and just hearing your story from an athletic standpoint, those things have been developed in you over time. So it makes me think along the way, you must have had some of the opposite experience where there was an organization or leaders or somewhere you didn't see this. So I want you to talk about that. I'm assuming that everything hasn't been perfect.
Sure.
What are some of the, this, I try to keep it real on this podcast,
yeah.
right? So where have been some of the challenges you face where you didn't see folks exhibit this care and concern? And then you have to name names. I'm just saying, just the experiences. Yeah.
I can go from an organizational standpoint, or I can go from, a growing standpoint. There's a situation in my life very early on that, there was some, our family was split up, and then, I had an older brother who was killed in a car accident, drug related, drinking. It was a bad deal, and it ripped our family apart even farther. But it showed me that, the people who really care are the ones that'll be around you in a tough time like that. Not just when you're winning, not when you're at the World Series, playing in the championship game, or, the numbers are good. When the times are tough and the people that you count on or that you believe that you can count on are still there, those are the people that genuinely care. And I think that helped me find better people in business, because if you can find that one element we talked about where people care, then yeah, I mean, I've been in organizations, great organizations, I would say, from a personnel standpoint, very talented, could have, they were very successful, could have gone a lot farther, but there was some dysfunction at the top leadership level. It was all about me instead of about us. And you see those situations and you step back and you go, okay, how can I influence, or what can I do to change my behavior around, maybe it's a certain person or it's a certain, culture, to still be successful within that organization. And to me, that goes with, that's leadership. When you can step back and go, hey, I'm not going to convince everybody that my way is the right way.
Yeah.
How do I navigate through this organization to help you be successful, to help myself be successful? Because ultimately, if you do that, the organization's going to be successful.
Yep.
And to me, that's why I say it's all about leadership. It's all about people. There's a lot of things in this business that, need to be addressed, but those are some of the biggest ones, I think.
Yeah.
Build a great team. Principal's doing that today. I mean, they've gone out. They're kind of at a point where, they're at an inflection point where, it was like, okay, we're going to capital invest, or we're going to continue to run at the level we're at. And they've gone out and done some big capital investments, and most of those have been on people. And I admire them for that. It wasn't easy.
Yeah. So they've invested in people,
right?
Not necessarily just the dollars. Back then,
leaders.
Yeah, leadership,
experienced leadership with those factors that we talked about. They care. They genuinely love the customer. They're competitive. One of the, persons that works with this company now, I worked with her in the past. She's awesome, but man, she is fiery. She is, and she'll tell you what she thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Christmas, I gave her a small metal bomb with an F on it for her to put on her desk, so just to remind her not to drop so many.
How'd she take that gift?
She laughed and
she drop a F-bomb?
Oh, she just gave me a big hug, and she, it was good. It was like, hey, let me bring something to your attention, but
yeah,
but she cares like no one else.
I want to change gears a little bit. I know you've done some consulting in your day prior to you joining Principal. And a lot of your focus, what I understand, has been on the marketing.
Correct.
Right? It's one of the things I think, particularly in this industry, I think companies still struggle with. I think, one, a lot of the leadership in these organizations have come from being operators. And so maybe they haven't had the experiences in working in other big corporations where they've seen kind of marketing teams develop. They've kind of done it kind of a hand-to-hand combat, right? Just kind of figure it out. What has been your appreciation for the marketing side, and what when you think about marketing the space, what are things you think about, and what should companies be trying to do to help grow their brands, establish a brand, build their brand from a marketing standpoint?
Well, you said it. Build a brand, number one. Find your niche, build your brand. You can do that really without any sales. And that's through social media presence, whether it's, the web, it's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, it's X, whatever it is, you can build your brand without even selling a product. I've seen it happen. I'm kind of shocked that it happened. I'm like, somebody asked me, y'all haven't sold anything, or you don't have any revenue, and you have this branding. And I said, and I learned that through somebody who'd been in the business a while. And that's that mentoring, keep learning, learn everything you can, be a sponge. But you can reach so many more people that way. I'll tell you about a time when I was at, in American Warehouses, and this is early on. I mean, this is before Google was Google. And, I went out and we had a one-page website. and it had a hand-drawn picture of a telephone and a fax machine on it. Contact us here, it had a phone number, right? And a fax number. And I was like, oh man, how are you going to catch customers like that? And so I went out and, found this person, did some research with her, and turned that one-page website into a website that would be functional today and through SEO and everything else. And within 2 years, 30% of our revenue came from web leads.
Wow.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was Hurricane Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay. Not Hurricane Harvey, but Katrina. New Orleans floods. You know this. Okay. All these people that are in warehouses in New Orleans, they got product coming from China. They need some place to put it.
ASAP.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
They're getting on the web. And they're looking.
Yeah.
We landed some huge clients by doing that. So I think you have to be accessible.
Yeah.
And whatever you're putting out there, make it scannable, because people don't read anymore. They scan, 4 or 5, 3, 4 good points, what you do, how you do it, and why are you different from everybody else?
Yeah.
And then how do you get to that positioning at the top? I've been fortunate. I've found several people who are very good at that when building the website from a foundational perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think people in this business, because I've seen it a lot, once they make a website, they forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't use it. They don't promote it.
Yeah.
They don't get leads off of it. And it becomes dormant almost.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things I did from the consulting perspective was, they'd say, well, what do you think we need to do? I'd tell them, well, your website's horrible. It's got misspelled words in it. It doesn't tell people what you do. I don't know what you do when I read it, or it
too much text.
Yeah. Or the texting is, I'm redoing the Axiom site now, and don't go look now, look in a couple of weeks, but, it's like War and Peace in 7 pages on the web, it's like, there it is. I'm like, and you can't find out what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's one of the things that I've experienced myself. We went through some rebrands when we were at QCS, from Quick Courier to QCS, website, uniforms, the whole 9 yards. It's one thing I try to do with the podcast is to, show the content in a way that is easily consumable. And also kind of build a brand around it. And you mentioned something that's I think people, I hope it didn't go over your head if you're listening. 30% of your sales are coming through your website. So what does that mean? That means you're not paying for someone to go out there and drive leads, whether it be inside or outside. And it also means that the person that's coming in, they've spent some time with you without you there. So that's about the warmest lead you could possibly get. So your close rate on that business is going to be a much higher clip than if you're going out hunting. And so I just behoove folks to try to really invest in that. Come on the podcast. Some of you out there, you need to be on this podcast, right? So same as plug there.
And it's not so much of a capital investment as it's something that's ongoing. When somebody goes out and they spend, okay, you get good website. I know somebody could probably spend a great website for his business, not just for yours, but for someone else's. And, for about $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're number one on Google, when you put in the key search words for your business, who you're trying to attract,
mm-hmm.
is that worth $15,000 one time?
Never believe it.
But don't stop.
Yeah.
You got to keep feeding it.
Yeah.
You got to feed the machine. You got to update it, and people are like, well, I already spent all this money on it. Okay. Look,
budget for it.
Make it part of marketing budget. And so many people in this industry, and you know this from being in the CLDA, what do people budget for marketing most of the time?
Conferences.
Meals for their clients, tickets for their clients.
Yeah.
What are you doing to attract new business?
Yes. Where's your lead gen budget?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have salespeople? If you do, or is the pipeline full? Is it started? Is it circulating? that's a big thing with me today. I have sales calls every Friday with the team from different parts, Arizona, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. And, I'm always talking about, they're saying, oh, it's taking a problem to get my paperwork back from, I'm like, look, don't wait for the paperwork. Follow up on the paperwork. Keep reconnecting about the paperwork. But you need to be moving on to that next lead that's going to develop into, I'm waiting on the paperwork.
Yeah.
Right. It's and back in the days when I was in American Warehouse, I think one of the things I had was, I went to the printer, man. I had these signs printed up, full poster size on hard cardboard, and hung them up all over the warehouse. And just to let the guys know, the saying was, it takes months to find a customer. It takes seconds to lose one. And so when you're pushing that pallet on that forklift, I want you to know, hey,
yeah, this matters.
It matters.
It matters.
And people are saying, and not everybody wants to be upwardly mobile, but I mean, I love people who will say, I want to be the best forklift driver you've ever had, or we've ever had, and I've seen guys, that were driving forklifts for 35 years, and that's what they wanted to do. And that was their ambition. But you know what? They cared.
Yep.
And you need people like that. I don't need everybody to want to be the president of the company or some type of a director. Yeah, I appreciate the ambition, but put people where they're going to be successful. That's the thing I think from a maturation process I learned during this whole period in logistics was, don't necessarily, we over promote sometimes in small companies.
Yeah.
This person deserves it. Well, maybe it's not their skill set. They might deserve it, but it's not their skill set. And I've over promoted somebody and they were miserable in their job. And you know what? They were doing a horrible job at it. And I went to them and I said, look, I'm going to have to let you go. They were thankful that I was going to let them go. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like, oh, I'm miserable now. And I said, why didn't you tell me? Well, I don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
No, as a leader, and you'll get more and more of this, is you have to be able to find the right role for that person to be successful. Because no matter what role you put them in, that person's going to gravitate to what they like to do. You do it. I do it.
Yep.
Today.
Yeah.
If I don't want to do something, I'll find everything else I can do first that I like to do before I do that. Is that procrastination? Not to me.
Yeah. I
don't like to do that.
Yep. It reminds me of a way when I try to evaluate employees. It's a GWC. It's a concept I got from this book called Traction. It's that when you evaluate employees, do they get it? Do they want the job? And do they have the capacity for the job?
Yep.
And I think that's a.
And can they do it with others?
And can they do it? And will they care? So we got to wrap up the episode here, but it's been phenomenal sharing this audience with you. So many different highlights in your career. And I love how we got the chance to talk about sports because I can geek out about that anytime. Right. But I think the message that you really brought home today for folks in the industry is care, right? It starts at the top, but it traces itself all the way down to the bottom. And so, Tony, just appreciate you sharing your insights, your knowledge, and your wisdom with us. So that wraps up our episode. Tony Carter, he is the VP of Biz Dev for Principal Distribution and the EVP of Axion Solutions, which we didn't get into, but does workforce management staffing. And so if you need some help on that side, reach out to him as well.
Are you fully staffed?
There we go. All right. Last2First family. We're out. Peace.